Moses and the resistance of the delivered. Chapter 2, Section 3 of the hidden servant. Isaiah, the remnant, and the hidden pattern behind Zion's redemption. If Noah shows that God sends warning before catastrophe, Moses shows that even a people who have already been delivered can still resist the servant God sends to lead them further. This is one of the most sobering parts of the rejected servant pattern. The problem is not only that wicked societies reject warning before judgment. The problem is also that covenant people, even after mighty acts of deliverance, may still murmur against the very servant through whom God is saving them. Moses therefore establishes a pattern that is essential for understanding the hidden servant. Deliverance from bondage does not automatically produce trust, discernment, or obedience. A people may come out of Egypt and still carry Egypt within them. This tension appears almost immediately in the Exodus story. After the Lord parts the sea and destroys Pharaoh's host, one might expect the people to be permanently settled in confidence toward the servant through whom such power had been displayed. Instead, the pattern of resistance begins again and again. At Marah the people murmured against Moses, saying, "What shall we drink?" Exodus 15:24. In the wilderness of Sin, they again murmur and say, "Would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt." Exodus 16:3. Later at Rephidim the people chide with Moses and ask for water, pressing the crisis so severely that Moses cries unto the Lord, "What shall I do unto this people? They be almost ready to stone me." Exodus 17:4. These scenes matter because they show that visible miracles do not cure the deeper problem of the human heart. A people may see wonders and still turn against the servant when the path of deliverance becomes uncomfortable. This reaches a climax in Numbers 14, after the spies return from the land. When the people hear the fearful report, they do not merely collapse into private discouragement. They turn against Moses and Aaron and openly propose reversal. "Let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt." Numbers 14:4. That sentence is one of the most revealing in all Scripture. The people do not simply doubt. They attempt to replace the servant and reverse the direction of deliverance. Egypt becomes preferable to the hardship of faith. Bondage begins to look safer than the risks of covenant obedience. That is why Moses is such a critical figure for this book. He proves that a servant may be genuinely appointed, publicly vindicated, and still resisted by the very people he is leading. This has enormous implications for the latter servant pattern. People often imagine that if a servant is true and the people around him are covenant people, then clear acts of God should make obedience easy. Moses proves otherwise. The deeper issue is not whether God has acted, but whether the people are willing to continue with the servant into the next required stage of obedience. It is one thing to celebrate deliverance from Egypt. It is another thing to trust the servant in the hunger, thirst, uncertainty, and discipline of the wilderness. The wilderness is where the people reveal what kind of deliverance they actually wanted. Many wanted relief from pain, but not formation into holiness. They wanted safety, but not the costly obedience by which a covenant people is made. This is why the Moses pattern is indispensable for understanding Zion's redemption. The hidden servant does not merely call people out of Babylon. He must also lead them through the difficult process by which deliverance becomes covenant order. And just as in Moses' day, many will discover that they preferred their old bondage, or at least the familiarity of it, to the unsettling demands of the path God has appointed. The servant therefore becomes offensive not because he is false, but because he refuses to make deliverance easy on the terms the people prefer. Moses teaches that the delivered often resist being further led, and that the people nearest to redemption may still rebel against the servant standing at its center.